Hi, this is Bill Pfizer again from Crossing Jordan Ministries. And, I had a phone call recently that I really felt led to share a good portion of the discussion I had on that phone call because it's something that we actually come across quite often in questions that we tend to see here in the area of healing and deliverance. And so often we see people come out and they've had this amazing experience, and they've experienced the Lord moving in their lives, and they felt that healing process. They have experienced deliverance from demonic influences that have been operating in their lives, and often for a very long time. And they feel this experience. They're walking around and knowing that they're just feeling this freshness. They're in this new space. There's a lightness. There's a brightness in their life. The things that tripped them up in the past are no longer tripping them up. Even so that even other people are seeing the difference, and they're reminded of stories or of actual events in the Bible where Jesus in Mark 5 talks about the casting out of the man with the legion of demons, and he was found when people gathered around to be sitting upright in a right mind and fully clothed. And there was such a dramatic difference that actually they were terrified, they were afraid. And we even have in Acts 16, Paul and Silas being tormented by this lady with this, and harassed by this lady with a spirit of divination, that they cast that spirit out. And again, that there's a change there because the master's, that lady's master was upset because they lost their source of revenue. They lost their some income, some profit there, and so they had basically had Paul and Silas arrested for that. So again, we know that a change to occur there, and now we're experiencing it, and we're going about sharing it, and we're telling others about our experience and about how we're set free, and then all of a sudden, bam! It just seems like out of nowhere, we're in a situation, and all of a sudden we find ourselves back in that negative space, in that bad space again, and we see ourselves acting and reacting out of those old patterns again, and we're feeling even that oppression again, and now all of a sudden we begin wondering, what happened? Did I really experience deliverance? Was I deceived? Did I do something wrong? And then that condemnation begins to set in because of that, and hopelessness and despair sometimes settle in there because it's like I'm feeling stuck. Am I ever going to change? Are things ever going to change? I'm right back to where I was before. And then even guilt and shame can come in because I was out there sharing my testimony. I was out there expressing and showing how Christ had set me free. And here I am back in these old behaviors again. And that shame just again isolates us and wants to separate us and wants us to run and hide because what are people going to think? And what I want you to know in this experience is that you're not alone, and it's not uncommon. And that's what I wanted to talk about here today was to give you some encouragement, to give you some hope. And I can speak to this not only professionally and what we've seen here in ministry, at crossing Jordan, but even what I have experienced in my own journey, in my own healing, in my own deliverance process, that we are in a battle. And so what I do want you to understand is that you're not a disappointment and you're not a failure. Okay? And it doesn't mean that you have done something wrong. Okay? You're not alone. And there is hope still in this. And that's what I want to bring this encouragement, because there's actually good that can come out of this experience. It's not that we want to be there, but we can have victory, and that we haven't been robbed. Okay, we haven't been deceived. And if you experienced a change and others were even able to notice that change was real. You did have victory there. Okay. But what becomes important here is that healing and deliverance is spiritual warfare. And spiritual warfare is just that. It's warfare. Okay? It is a war that's being waged for your soul, for your soul. The devil, he's done for, and he doesn't want to go out alone. Okay? And he wants to have us in that bondage. He wants to have us where we're walking away from Christ, where we're condemning and saying, there's no point, I need to do this on my own, or it's hopeless, there is no God, and just, crawl in that hole, and again, not have that victory, not have that peace, not have that connection with Christ, which can just further separate us and get us into bitterness and get us really just walking away from God altogether. That's his end goal. That's his end goal. To get us isolated, to get us separated, to get us in a place where we're feeling alone, where we're not wanting to have any type of relationship with God at all, because he can't either. But this is a war. Why else would Paul be telling us that we need to put on the whole armor of God? Because it's a spiritual warfare. Because our battle isn't against flesh, but it is against those principalities. It is against those powers and those dominions. Okay? That this is a war. Okay? And in that area of healing and deliverance, it's a battle that you've won, and it's a battle where the enemy is trying to gain territory back. And we need to have on that armor of God to withstand the wiles of the devil. Why else would Paul be talking about that? Why else would Paul be talking about even his own struggles, his own thorns in the flesh, his own having to take thoughts captive, his own doing what he doesn't want to do and finding himself not doing what he wants to do? This is a battle. Okay? And it's even important to understand that even Jesus talks about the demons. He talks about the way that they wage war. Okay? If we take a look at Matthew chapter 12, verses 43 through 45. Again, I like to point out that these letters are in red. Okay? And when an unclean spirit goes out of a man, he goes through dry places seeking rest and finds none. Then he says, I will return to my house from which I came. And when he comes, he finds it empty, swept, and put in order. Then he goes and takes with him 7 other spirits, more wicked than himself, and they enter and dwell there. And the last state of the man is worse than the first. So shall it also be with this wicked generation. Now I know that Jesus in this particular text wasn't speaking specifically towards spiritual warfare. Okay, but when we look at the text, it's important to understand that he's talking about how the demons operate. Okay, he's talking about them wanting that they will come back, that they will try to find a way to enter in. Okay, and what happens when we have this stumble, when we have this setback, okay, it's understanding that that demon has come back. Okay, he is trying to gain entrance again, and so when he finds a way to enter in, okay, when he finds a way to get us to come back into agreement, okay, he's going to enter in. And as I talked about, where these other feelings start coming in, where these feelings of hopelessness, of despair, of guilt, of shame, okay, these are the other demons that he's bringing along with him now, that we often can find ourselves in if we allow it to be in a worse state than what we were before. And what's important here as we talk about this spiritual warfare, the spiritual battle, is that it is a battle. Okay, and so what the enemy has done, what the Spirit has done, is he has revealed another area in our lives that allowed us to go into the agreement, another area of sin, another belief that we have that allowed him to gain entrance. And so we're not in despair. We don't have to despair. We don't have to be feel guilt, feel like we've done something wrong, because really what it's done is the enemy has exposed another area in our lives that Christ wants to bring healing in. Okay? And we can do that. Okay? When we look at this as the next battle, we come back in, we attack by finding that belief, by getting the healing, and telling that demon and his buddies to go. And guess what? They have to go. Just like before, they have to go. And this time they aren't as entrenched as they were before, because we do have that previous victory. And so we get that healing, we get that deliverance, we tell them to go, and now we're actually walking stronger in our life, and we're actually becoming even a greater testimony to those around us that see the importance of healing and deliverance, and that even in the struggle, Christ is still there, that he's still carrying us through, that it becomes an encouragement when they stumble in areas of their lives, or they're feeling like, what's the point? It's hopeless. I'm never getting out of this. So it becomes another victory. It becomes another victory for you. And so one of the things that we can do, and I want to encourage you in this, and why I'm bringing this forth, is because when you have these stumbles, okay, when you find yourself feeling like you're going backwards, okay, you're not going backwards. The enemy has come back. You're in another battle. Okay, the war isn't over. And so it's finding that area, finding that belief, and you have the victory. You have the authority to tell him to go, and he has to go. And you're walking stronger. And what we need to do is not look at that battle as the war, okay, but look at it as just a battle. Okay? And when the enemy comes again, we're recognizing it again as another battle, that he is coming, trying to take up residence again. But now we're wiser, and we're able to fight that better. Okay, and then we're ready for the next battle, and so it's not, again, living in that dread that, oh no, I have to get ready for the next battle. I have to get ready for the next battle. No, it's enjoying your life, recognizing and being aware of when the enemy is trying to bring that counterattack. Okay, but then knowing that we have Christ's authority and that we can overcome this. And that's what gives us the freedom. That's what gives us the fullness. That's what gives us the joy, because we know that we can have victory over this regardless of how it goes. It's focusing just on that battle. Okay? And what happens is eventually, as we win this battle, and we win this battle, and we win this battle, we're just naturally going to see the changes in our lives. And then we can celebrate. Then we're celebrating those changes. Okay? And again, it's the focus is on the battle and not making that battle the war. It's just a battle. It's just a battle. And we have the supreme commander that knows the tactics of the enemies. He's giving us that information, and we can overcome. So it's okay when you stumble. It's the point of getting back up and re-entering the battle, finding the stronghold, finding that area, and getting the healing, and then getting the deliverance, and walking stronger. You're not a failure. You're not a disappointment. You're not stuck. Things do change, and they will change, and the enemy won't have the same hold on you as he has in the past, to where you will be walking in victory and you will be walking in freedom. Don't quit. Don't give up, but be encouraged. And I hope that this was an encouragement to you. God bless.